How my fiancée dumped me and ran off to Hawaii for 5 weeks, then refused to explain. I'll start over. My fiancée, Olivia, figured she'd hit pause on us and jet off to Hawaii with her old college crew, so I went ahead and scrapped the wedding plans. Let me break it down for you. We'd been a couple for 8 solid years, with a ring on her finger for almost 2 of them. As far as I could tell, life was good between us. We'd nailed down a date to tie the knot, sorted out all the details, and I was pretty damn sure we were seeing eye to eye. Turns out, I couldn't have been more wrong. Roughly 4 weeks back, she dropped this bombshell about a huge trip she was cooking up with her university pals to Hawaii. She pitched it like it was this epic, can't-miss adventure. I didn't bat an eye, sounded cool to me. No way was I gonna be the jerk who stopped her from kicking it with her buddies. I even played chauffeur, hauling her bags to the airport, giving her a smooch goodbye, and telling her to soak it all in. Then, bam, she blindsided me with the "we need a break" line. She didn't pull me aside for a heart-to-heart or drop any hints before. Nah, she just tossed it out there like small talk while we strolled toward security. Acted like it was nothing major. I froze, totally dumbfounded, wondering what the hell she even meant. Before I could get a word out, she was waving at me, vanishing into the sea of travelers. For a minute, I didn't even process it. Driving home, I chalked it up to her maybe being jittery about the trip. But when I tried ringing her later, blocked. Completely cut off, phone, texts, even her socials. No way to get through. I peeked at her profiles, hoping for a glimpse of what she was up to on this trip. Guess what? Locked out there too. That's when the penny dropped. This wasn't some offhand remark. She was serious. She'd bolted to Hawaii and slammed every door shut without so much as a real talk. I thought, alright, maybe she'd chill out after a bit, so I held off. 7 days of dead air later, I'd had enough. Right then, I called it, the wedding was toast. And you know what? It felt like the only move that made sense. Why stick with someone who thinks they can just vanish whenever the mood strikes? I wasn't about to twiddle my thumbs, waiting for her to flip the switch back to relationship mode. No chance. She picked her path, so I picked mine. I axed it all, the venue, the food, the flowers, every last bit of wedding prep. Done. Oh, and that plan for her to move in with me come March. Off the table. She could sort out her own roof when she rolled back into town, 'cause I wasn't her fallback. Weeks crawled by, and not a peep from her, no texts, no calls, zilch. Then, out of nowhere, she dials me up one day. Number didn't even look familiar, must have been a burner or something. She breezed through like nothing was off, saying she'd land Friday morning, rattling off flight info, acting like we were still cool. Like she hadn't gone radio silent for 5 freaking weeks. I let her ramble, took a beat, and hit her with, "What's that got to do with me?" The quiet on her end. Gold. She was stumped, didn't have a comeback, and I wasn't about to let her spin one up. I hung up, blocked that number too, gave her a taste of her own medicine. Figured that'd be the end of it, at least for a while. Later that day, I reckoned it was time to clue folks in. Since the wedding was kaput, I fired off a quick note in our group chat with friends and family, something like, "Hey, heads up, wedding's off, and so are we." Didn't think it'd blow up like it did, but people started buzzing. They wanted the scoop, and I didn't sugarcoat it, I laid it out straight. Olivia took off for Hawaii, slapped a "break" label on us without a word, then ghosted me for 4 weeks. Folks were floored, some genuinely pissed for me, which, I gotta say, felt kinda nice. You can't predict how people will take news like that, but having some backup made it less of a gut punch. By 3 p.m., Olivia finally piped up, barely, though, just asked me to call her so we could hash it out. I wasn't biting. Told her if she had something to say, she could spill it right there in the chat. That ruffled her feathers. She fired back, "This is our business, not theirs." But the way I saw it, she made it everybody's deal when she bailed without a whisper. She kept texting, poking at me to bite, but I wasn't in the mood for her sob story. Come 5 p.m., she was borderline pleading, wanted me to scoop her up from the airport to talk it over. For real. Like she hadn't pulled the rug out. I shot back, that's on you, not me. None of this was my call. And I meant it, every damn syllable. No way was I sprinting to play her doormat after that stunt. Deep down, I'll admit, I was still fishing for some explanation that'd click, something to make her crap make sense. Hoped there'd be a reason, maybe a big mix-up to excuse how she played me. But as the clock ticked on, it hit me, she wasn't bringing that to the table. No teary sorry or grand reveal was coming. She'd made her bed, and I had to roll with it. Next few days, I got busy piecing my world back together, refused to let this train wreck sink me. Started untangling our joint stuff, accounts, whatever, and made sure it was split clean. Even swapped out my apartment locks, no surprise visits from her thinking she could waltz back in. I was over it. Then I got to thinking, hell, if she could bounce to Hawaii for 4 weeks, why not me? I started scoping out a getaway of my own. After the mess she dragged me through, I damn well earned a breather. So that's where I landed. She was due back in a couple days, but I wasn't gonna be her welcome wagon. She could hitch her own ride. For me, that page was flipped, and I was eyeing brighter horizons. But hold up, next part gets wild, 'cause it didn't stay quiet for long. Once I made peace with the wedding being history, I knew Olivia'd circle back eventually. I was braced for it. What I didn't see coming was how quick she'd flip the script and play the wounded card. It kicked off with a text from Sophie, one of our shared pals. Sophie's solid, always keeps it real with me. This time, though, Sophie seemed kinda cagey, like she wasn't thrilled about sticking her nose in the mess. She slid me a screenshot from some side group chat I wasn't part of. There was Olivia, yakking to her pals, twisting the whole deal to make me look like the nutcase who flipped out for no reason. Can you believe the nerve? In that chat, Olivia was whining about how wedding stress had her all wound up, and she just needed a breather to sort her head out. She even tossed in some line like, I didn't plan for the break to drag on that long, I figured he'd get it. Then came the real gut punch. I had to figure out if marriage was even my thing, but he went and trashed everything before I could lay it out for him. I couldn't help but crack up reading that. For real. She locks me out for 4 weeks, then plays it like I didn't give her a shot to explain. Get out of here. Seeing those messages lit a fire under me, my blood was pumping hot. She was out there playing the poor little victim, telling everyone I'd lost my mind and yanked the wedding plug too fast. No way was I gonna sit quiet while she rewrote history. I wasn't about to let her slap a villain label on me. So, I dove back into the main group chat, you know, the one still humming from the wedding cancellation bombshell. Folks were still scrambling to connect the dots. Time to clear the fog, I figured I'd lay it all bare. I fired off a message in the chat. Here's the real deal, so nobody's confused. Olivia slapped a break on us without even a heads up. She ghosted me, blocked me cold, for 4 weeks, and now she's acting like it's all a big hoopsie. I killed the wedding, 'cause I'm not some doormat waiting for a girl who can't even talk to me like a grown-up. Replies started pinging in fast, folks backing me up, pointing out how jacked up the whole mess was. Felt damn good knowing I wasn't the only one thinking this was nuts. Olivia went radio silent for maybe an hour after that. But sure enough, she piped up eventually, threw out some weak excuse about how she didn't expect it to blow up like this, and she never meant to step on toes. No ownership, no real, sorry, just a flimsy dodge to look less bad. Then my man Jake swooped in, laid into her right there for all to see. He goes, Olivia, you don't just drop a break on a guy, vanish for weeks, then waltz back expecting sunshine and rainbows. That's not how you do relationships. Man, I was glad he said it, saved me the breath, 'cause I was wore out from justifying myself. But then Olivia's pal Ava had to jump in the ring. Always pegged Ava as kinda sketchy, and she didn't let me down. She started running defense for Olivia, claimed the girl was drowning in stress, said wedding planning can scramble your brain. Tried to spin Olivia as some fragile soul crushed by anxiety. Sure, I get it, wedding prep can twist you up. But come on, that's no free pass to ice out your fiancé and party in Hawaii for 4 weeks while he's left hanging. Ava kept yammering, stuff like, you should have cut Olivia some slack to work through it, and, dumping the wedding might have been overkill. I'd hit my limit. No way was I letting some outsider who didn't live it tell me how to play my hand. So I clapped back. Ava, no offense, but you're missing the whole picture. This ain't about wedding jitters. It's about Olivia shutting me out, blocked me on everything, didn't even try to talk. I reached out, called, texted, the works, and got squat. How long was I supposed to twiddle my thumbs? Another 4 weeks. A whole year? If Olivia was done with me, she could have manned up and said it. Instead, she pulled a Houdini and expected me to sit pretty. Chat went dead quiet after that. Think folks started clocking just how ugly this got. Even Ava didn't have much left to toss back once I spilled it all. Couple days rolled by, thought maybe the storm was finally fizzling. Nope, not even close. Then Olivia's sister, Isabella, rang me up. We'd always been cool, so I figured she might be checking in or playing peacemaker. Wrong, she came out swinging. Why'd you ditch the wedding without hashing it out with Olivia first? Knocked me flat. Didn't see her picking Olivia's corner after all I'd laid out. Isabella, your sister cut me off, blocked me. How do you chat with someone who's got you on mute? She didn't have much to counter that, but she kept pressing, said Olivia was crushed, and I should have held off till she got back to talk it over. I was over it by then. Told her, look, I get you're riding for your sis, but what she pulled was messed up. She didn't give me a vote on this break, I'm not gonna wait on someone who doesn't give a damn about my side. Isabella tried keeping it going, but I shut it down, said I had stuff to do. Wasn't about to keep sparring with every Olivia cheerleader popping up. That night, Olivia slid me another message. Sorta an apology, barely. Said she was sorry it went down like this, but didn't own a lick of what she chose to do. One of those, we both messed up, cop-outs. Didn't even bother typing back, what's the use? She picked her road, now she could walk it. Wasn't letting her yank me back into her soap opera. Blocked her everywhere again, cut the cord clean to dodge more BS. Done with her excuses, done letting her stretch this out. Sitting there, mulling it over, it clicked, I'd dodged a damn cannonball. If this was Olivia's style for handling rough patches, what kinda hell would marriage have been? Sucked to think about all those years down the drain, no lie. But man, I was relieved it crashed before it got uglier. Time to get on with my life, that's where my head was at. After Olivia's guilt trip flops, tried to nudge me back into wedding mode, which, spoiler, didn't fly, I figured the dust might settle. Yeah, right, when's it ever that easy? About a week after I locked Olivia out for good, some random number buzzed my phone. Almost let it slide to voicemail, but curiosity got me, I picked up. Who's on the line? Olivia's mom, Patricia. Sweet as sugar to your face, but always with that passive-aggressive sting lurking. Queen of the backhanded jab, I knew this call wasn't gonna be a picnic. She kicked off like nothing had even gone down. Hey, sweetheart, how you holding up? She asked me, acting like we hadn't just called off a damn wedding and I hadn't completely cut her daughter out of my life. Hey there, hon, how's it going? Patricia said to me, as if the cancelled wedding and me ditching her kid weren't even a thing worth mentioning. I swear, it was like she thought we could just breeze past it all. I wasn't in the mood to play along with her little charade, so I kept my answer short and sweet. I didn't feel like faking it for her, so I just tossed out a quick reply and left it at that. No point in dragging it out when my heart wasn't in it. I'm doing alright, Patricia. What's up with you? That's when she kicked off the guilt parade. I'm okay, Patricia. What's on your mind? And boom, right then, she started laying the guilt trip on thick, like she'd been rehearsing it all day. Oh, we were all so pumped for the wedding, she said, her voice oozing with that fake pity that makes your skin crawl. Man, we were all so stoked about that wedding, she told me, letting her tone drip with this syrupy sympathy that just rubbed me the wrong way. This has been real tough on Olivia. She's been bawling her eyes out every single day since she got back. You get that, don't you? She's a total mess. It's hit Olivia hard, you know. She's been crying non-stop ever since she came home. You realize that, right? The girl's falling apart over here. I wasn't about to let her twist this around and make me feel sorry for Olivia after all the crap she pulled. No way was I gonna let her flip the script and guilt me into pitying Olivia, not after everything that went down with her. So I shot back, Patricia, I'm sorry Olivia's torn up, but she made her bed. I didn't call off the wedding just for kicks. Look, Patricia, I said, I feel bad that Olivia's hurting, but she chose her path. I didn't ditch the wedding plans on some whim, you know. Then Patricia hit me with this gem, well, maybe you blew it out of proportion a bit. Weddings are stressful as hell, and people screw up under that kind of pressure. Don't you think she deserves another shot? Then she dropped this doozy, maybe you overreacted a tad, huh? Planning a wedding's no picnic, and folks mess up when they're stressed out. Haven't you considered giving her a second chance? I was floored. I couldn't believe my ears. She was acting like Olivia vanishing on me for 4 weeks, partying it up in Hawaii, was just a tiny hiccup. I was stunned she'd even say that, like Olivia ghosting me for over a month while living it up in Hawaii was some minor slip-up we could just laugh off. No chance I was swallowing that. Patricia, I said, keeping my voice steady, this wasn't just pre-wedding jitters kicking in. Listen, Patricia, I replied, holding my tone firm, what happened wasn't some case of cold feet before the big day. Olivia shut me out completely, blocked me on every app and took off for 4 weeks. And don't act like she was just soul-searching over there. She cut me off cold, blocked me everywhere and disappeared for over a month. Let's not kid ourselves that she was just meditating in Hawaii or something. I've heard stuff, Patricia, rumors about what she was actually doing out there. If she wasn't sure about us, she could have opened her mouth instead of bolting and pulling that stunt. I've caught wind of things, you know, stories about what she was really up to over there. If she had doubts, she should have talked to me, not vanished and done whatever the hell she did. That threw Patricia off her game for a second, but she bounced back quick. I'm sure it's all a big mix-up, she said. Olivia's been under a ton of pressure. It caught her off guard, but she didn't miss a beat. Oh, it's probably just a misunderstanding, she chirped. Olivia's been dealing with so much stress lately. You ought to let her clear the air, give her a chance to tell her side. I sucked in a deep breath, trying not to lose it. You should give her an opportunity to explain herself, she pressed. I took a long breath, fighting to keep my cool and not snap. Patricia, stress doesn't give you a free pass to stab someone in the back, I told her. Look, Patricia, being stressed out doesn't mean you get to betray someone and call it even, I fired back. If Olivia's got something to say, she knows my number, but I'm done here. The wedding's off, end of story. If Olivia wants to spill her guts, she's got my contact info, but I've made up my mind. That wedding's history, and I'm not budging. But Patricia wouldn't drop it. Well, she said, still pouring on that sugary tone, if you won't chat with Olivia, how about swinging by for dinner? We could hash it out as a family, figure things out together. Patricia kept at it, though. All right, she cooed, voice still sweet as pie, if you're not up for talking to Olivia, why not come over for a meal? We can sit down like family and sort through this mess together. I was starting to get fed up. I could sense she was holding something back, trying to gloss over whatever Olivia really did, but I wasn't falling for it again. My patience was wearing thin. I had this gut feeling she wasn't telling me everything, like she was covering up the real dirt, but I wasn't about to get dragged back into their soap opera. I was floored. She was asking me over for a cozy family dinner, like this was just a little spat we could fix with some home cooking. I couldn't wrap my head around it, Patricia inviting me for dinner like we could just patch up this disaster over a casserole or something. Unreal. I knew this was going nowhere fast, so I kept it short. Thanks, but I think we're better off just letting it go. I could tell this talk was a dead end, so I cut it simple. Appreciate it, but I reckon we should all just move forward from here. Then I hung up the phone. You'd figure that'd be the end of it, huh? Nope, not even close. So I ended the call right there. You'd think that'd finally put a lid on it, right? Wrong, way off the mark. The next day, I get a text from Olivia's old man, Antonio. Sure enough, the very next day, Olivia's dad, Antonio, shoots me a message out of the blue. Now, Antonio's this old-fashioned guy who's convinced he's never wrong, no matter what's going down. Antonio's one of those classic types who thinks he's got the answer to everything, every damn time, no exceptions. He never really warmed up to me, but he put up with me for Olivia's sake. So when his name popped up, I braced myself for trouble. He wasn't ever my biggest fan, but he tolerated me because of Olivia. Seeing his text come through, I knew it wasn't gonna be a friendly little chat. So, I fired back a quick, "Yeah, I'm good, just taking it day by day." Then Lily dropped the hammer, "I think you ought to give Olivia a chance to talk." I glared at my phone, torn between blocking her on the spot and seeing where this was headed. Part of me wanted to cut it off right there, but that nosy side kicked in. I had to know what play she was running. So I hit her back, "Why's that? What makes you think I should hear Olivia out?" She unloaded this long-winded spiel about how Olivia's been a wreck, crying buckets every day since she dragged herself back from Hawaii. Said Olivia was too chicken to hit me up herself, scared I'd shut her down cold. Apparently, she'd been moaning to her crew that she knew she'd botched it big time but had no clue how to patch things up. I let out a groan, same old irritation bubbling up. "Lily, I've been down this road already," I told her. I gave Olivia plenty of shots to lay it out, and she didn't bite. She locked me out for 4 weeks, then waltzed back like we could just pick up where we left off. That's not something I can shrug off. But Lily kept hammering, claimed Olivia just needed breathing room, swore she didn't mean to gut me like that. The more she rambled, though, the clearer it got. Olivia had sicked Lily on me to fight her battle, she didn't even have the guts to face me herself. Same old dodge and weave routine, piled with excuses. I'd hit my limit. "Look, Lily," I cut in. "I get you're trying to play the good friend, but this ain't getting fixed with a couple sorries. It's done. Over and out." I could tell she wanted to keep prodding, but I wasn't giving her an inch, blocked her right then and there. Thought that might finally bolt the door shut on this mess. Nope. Next up, a text from Olivia's cousin, Lucas. Hadn't heard a peep from him in months, and now he's pinging me, asking to grab a chat about everything. By then, I was so sick of folks yanking me back into Olivia's quicksand. Almost blew him off, but that damn curiosity snagged me again. I had to see what curveball he'd throw. So I said, "Yeah, let's hit a coffee spot." Rolled up to the cafe, and there's Lucas, fidgeting like a kid caught with his hand in the cookie jar. We stumbled through some clumsy small talk before he finally spit it out. "Man, I know this Olivia thing's been a train wreck," he started. "Just wanted to see if there's any chance you two could patch it up." I nearly busted out laughing. "Lucas, it's kaput. Ain't nothing left to stitch together." She made her call, and I made mine. He squirmed in his chair, looking like he was about to drop something I wouldn't like. "Yeah, I hear you," he said, "but Olivia's been saying she screwed up, and, she's hinted maybe if you gave it some time, you guys could take another swing." I set my coffee down slow, keeping my temper in check. "Lucas, no disrespect, but this wasn't just a slip-up. She ghosted me for 4 weeks, blocked me flat out, and I know what went down in Hawaii. Wasn't just space she was after, she stabbed me in the back. You don't rebound from that. He flinched, didn't push back on it, guess he knew the score. Still, he pivoted. Sure, but what if she's dead set on making it right? She's been talking about fixing this. I shook my head. Lucas, I'm glad you came out here, but it's a no-go. Olivia picked her lane, I've picked mine. She can move on if she wants, but I'm not circling back to that mess. We sat there, quiet, both knowing this was a brick wall. Finally, he shrugged, all right, I get it. Just figured I'd try. I downed the last of my coffee, stood up, and said, thanks for the effort, man, but it's finished. Time for us both to keep rolling. He flashed a weak grin, and we split ways. Figured that might, finally, be the last of it. How many more of Olivia's posse could she send my way? Wrong again, naturally. Next day, bam, message from Olivia's aunt. Barely knew the lady, swapped a few polite words at family shindigs, that's it. Her name popping up screamed trouble on Olivia's end. She kicked off with the usual fluff, heard about the breakup, how you holding up, blah blah. I was so over the dance by then, I just cut through, did Olivia put you up to this? Her reply. Well, not exactly, but she's really hurting, and I thought I could bridge the gap. Almost chucked my phone across the room. Bridge the gap. I shot back, ain't nothing to bridge. We're through, I can't spell it out any plainer. But she wouldn't quit, started preaching about how love's worth battling for, how I shouldn't toss years of good times over a misunderstanding. That's when it clicked, Olivia must have fed her family some weepy fairy tale, casting herself as the damsel and me as the hothead who overreacted. Didn't even dignify it with a response, blocked her and swore I was done for good. No more chats, no more defending myself, no more letting folks drag me back into that swamp. Finished, full stop. And for a stretch, it actually went quiet, no texts, no calls, no random relatives sliding into my messages with guilt trips. Felt like a damn anvil lifted off me. First time in months, I could suck in a full breath, no hollow sorries or what-ifs clogging my head. Just me, eyeing what's ahead, and man, that was all I needed. So here's how it all finally shook out, and of course, it didn't fade out peaceful-like. 'Cause why would it? After blocking Olivia, her mom, her bridesmaids, damn near her whole family tree, you'd think the dust would settle. Nope. Olivia had one last card to play, one that showed me just how far she'd stretch to reel me back in. Or maybe just to get her way. About a month after the chaos died down, I get this letter in the mail, yeah, a legit, old-school letter, like we're living in cowboy times. Almost didn't crack it open, who the hell sends letters these days? But the handwriting rang a bell, and I thought, screw it, maybe it's Olivia's final swing. Wasn't expecting much. Man, was I off. It's pages, pages, of Olivia's scribbles, spilling her guts, saying she misses me, regrets it all, the whole song and dance. She's sorry for ghosting, sorry for the Hawaii betrayal. Yeah, she actually owned up to it this time. But it didn't feel like she was truly coming clean, more like tossing out another flimsy excuse. She wrote that she'd been all muddled up, and that little fling she had. Total non-issue, she claimed. Here's where it gets wild, though. She casually mentions she's still got the key to my place. You heard that right, she's still holding my apartment key. My gut twisted when I read that line. I'd already swapped the locks once when this whole mess kicked off, but it never hit me she might still think she could stroll right in. I bolted up, double-checked the door, and started racking my brain, what else had I missed? But the letter kept rolling, it wasn't just a mea culpa, it was a damn blueprint. She'd been yakking with her mom, she said, and figured we should hit up couples counseling to iron out our stuff. Get this, she'd already lined up sessions for us. Let me say that again, she booked appointments without even running it by me. I was pissed, seeing red. After ditching me, cheating, sicking her family on me, and acting like I'm the bad guy, she thinks she can just grab the wheel and patch it all up her way. Near the end, she scribbled about how we could wipe the slate clean if I'd just toss her one more shot. Said she was dying to sit down face to face, ready to do whatever it took to set things right. I sat there, glaring at that paper, a storm of rage and disbelief churning in me. After all her crap, she still didn't get it. She genuinely thought she could call the shots here. It wasn't just cocky, it was straight up unhinged. So I decided to match her retro vibe one last time. Grabbed a pen, some paper, and hammered out a reply. If she wanted the truth laid bare, I'd give it to her, no wiggle room. I wrote that we were finished, kaput. No therapy, no do-overs, no cozy little chats. Told her to send that key back, yeah, I'd changed the locks again anyway, and to get on with her life, 'cause I sure as hell was moving on with mine. Mailed it off and felt this wave of finality, like I'd finally bolted that door shut. But nah, it wasn't over yet. A week later, another letter from Olivia lands in my box, this one's shorter. No fighting, no begging for counseling. She said she saw my side but still thought we should talk it out. Then she slipped in this creepy little nugget. Mentioned she'd cruised by my place a few times, noticed I wasn't around. Didn't say why she was scoping me out or what she was up to, just left that hanging there, giving me the heebie-jeebies. This wasn't just her clinging anymore, it was sliding into stalker territory. That's when I knew I had to slam on the brakes hard. No way was I letting this spin into some psychodrama. Phoned my landlord right away, asked about beefing up security, maybe slapping some cameras up. I wasn't rolling the dice on this. Then, just when I thought it couldn't get weirder, my mom calls. Mom's been my rock through this whole circus, knows every rotten detail Olivia put me through. But what she said next nearly made me fumble the phone. Olivia had shown up at her house, out of the blue, wanting to hash out us. She'd crossed a line, a big, fat, neon one. Wasn't just barging into my world anymore, now she's hauling my family into her manipulation game, trying to rope them into flipping me. Lucky for me, Mom didn't bite. She told Olivia straight up my mind was made, and that's that, game over. Held her ground even when Olivia turned on the waterworks. Laid it out clear, Olivia needed to let it go and move the hell on. After that call, I knew I had to drop the hammer once and for all to kill this nightmare. Went and filed for a restraining order. Hated going there, but I was cornered, had to shield myself and my folks from her creeping in. When the papers got served, Olivia finally hit the brakes. No more letters, no doorstep ambushes, no frantic pleas, silence at last. Guess she finally got the memo. Filing that order didn't feel like a win, it just felt like what I had to do, and in the end.